Yes, we are back. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys doing? It's been a long 3, 4 weeks, I think, since we've been live. We've missed you. Unfortunately, there's only two of us today here as presenters. Benny has some very important things he has to attend to. But no worries, we've got a fantastic show ahead of us today. I've got a very interesting guest as well. But before that, the man who was in Hanoi for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Avi, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Okay lah, can lah. We've been very lonely, without our expert on board. But and
I have
but
no expert, but then it's good to be back live again. After more than I think almost 3 weeks now, we have not done any live stream sessions. So it's
yeah.
good to be back, finally.
It is. And we hope that you enjoyed our content from Hanoi. Of course, Avi was reporting live. We had some fantastic interviews lah, with Harimau Muda players, with Coach Brad as well. It's a real honor having him on. But today, I think so far we've kind of covered a lot of aspects of football lah. Okay, we've had players, we've had coaches. We've spoken to fans, we've spoken to grassroots, but we haven't spoken to the people who are seen, not are seen, who are behind the scenes. They're behind the scenes orchestrating all these interesting transfers and moves and taking care of the players. We've never spoken to agents, and we are so honored, we are so thrilled to have one of the top agents in our country around here. Mr. Faidauz is joining us today. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much, Logan. Good evening, Logan and Avinash. Thank you for inviting me to the show. Right.
It is our pleasure. I think it's so interesting to get into what you do, what a football agent does. So I think we're going to start the interview right there. In your own words, what does a football agent do?
Advise, protect, guide, and mentoring. That's my take of being an agent. Because different agents, the way they work differently, depending on the background and all that. Mine is because I have the scouting element with me. So it's a mixture. So it depends. That's why I respect other agents, how they operate. The modus operandi, all that. So that's about it. If myself is more represent, advise, protect, guide, mentoring.
Okay, all right. So it's very interesting as well how someone could get into this line of the business lah. As you said, mentoring, scouting. So how did you start in this business?
Okay, I take back maybe about 20 years ago or 30 years ago. All right. Okay. I used to be a footballer. Okay, I used to be a footballer. Represented Selangor in the youth level, right? But I got injured before going to Sukma, if I'm not mistaken, in 1996 or 1994. I forgot the year. But my batch, I think, if you know, same era lah. Yusli Cik lah, Azhar Amri, and then of course the notable senior is, I think, T. Gopinath Naidu. Last time, right. He was one of my favorite players. So I was from that era. So of course I had to quit football due to injury. Then I went, I work in the corporate level, all that. So, but of course, if you're a footballer, the heart is still there in football, So I still watch matches, and then scouting. Actually, I like to watch technically on players, how they do, how they play. So this has been my interest for a long time. And then what happened was in 2016, I was offered to join MFL. Right. So I joined MFL as the marketing head. So I'm in charge of these sponsorship. So I deal with all these sponsors like Telecom Malaysia, all, and then by doing that, I got to deal with all the teams in the league, in the Super League, in the Premier League, and then of course it's all about networking. Then it interests me again. Then I started to be serious more on my scouting because I watch matches. Being in MFL, you get to go all the matches. You wear the what they call AD card. You can access any match. So then the interest start, and then of course, I know some of the coaches. So we spoke about the players, and then of course, being a scout in Malaysia is like you don't earn anything in Malaysia, all right? So it's like a free thing, lah. So then they suggested to me, hey, why not you take up, be an agent, get yourself registered, get players, and from there you can do both. So it's all started. So I got myself registered 5 years back in I think 2000, late 2017. It's all started, and of course when you start, it's like zero. You have no players. So you depend on people, very desperate. You talk to players because see, being a newbie is not easy.
Definitely.
To come in, and then there's no people don't know you. How can I trust you? You have to build. And of course, I'm lucky and fortunate to have coaches who help me along the way, introduce players, all that. So along, and then also I also represent a coach. I think you will know him. He did appear in Armchair previously. He's a foreign coach, Matt Holland. So happened, So I think he's the only coach that I represent. So the rest players, and then of course, as things grew, and players, and then players also they actually recommend other players to agents, depending. That's why it's a very what do you call it? Small market. You have to be careful what you do. What you offer, all that, and then because the circle is small, and
Right.
players talk to each other, coaches talk to each other. So just to start, and then just to make it short, and then of course in along the way, I took courses. Online courses with the England FA and the Professional Scouts Association, because for me, you need to be credible in things you do in life.
Yes.
People will ask you, okay, you be agent, you want to be a scout. So you went through a course, are you certified or what, So of course, there are a lot of stages. I went through the first and second stage, So, I mean, I have to go to UK to further the courses if I would like to pursue further, So, but yes, helped me a lot, in terms of this. And I'm also lucky to get to know some of the foreign agents, so about contracts, and I also learn I mix around with sport lawyers. So because they know about the contracts, the content, how to advise players, all this and that, So those are the things in the gist lah, just to share,
Okay. So we've actually got a lot of questions coming in from our viewers, but yeah, so we may go a bit long today, but we're so happy to do this. So Avi, I'm going to pass the next question to you.
Can I'll pass the bill to Avi later.
Pandai. Okay, my question. I mean, I'm going to start off with a simple question. Like, how would you describe the football agency in Malaysia, the scene, and then how is it like convincing players to be represented and so on? No, maybe you can share with in your own words.
Okay, I mean, if you'd like to know currently, how to become an agent? Okay, yeah, I will just answer that. Of course, you have to apply to FAM, right? And then they will call you for an interview. I'm not sure now how they do it, the interview. Previously, when I was called, was interviewed by Abang Zul. the deputy general secretary. So of course he asked me a lot of questions about contracts, how you manage players, emotion, and then of course players, they have a lot of types of players level, senior players, young players, just squad member players, and then how do you market them. I was fortunate that I'm able to answer all those. I'm not sure now, but what I understand that I think soon they will revert back the intermediate license to the FIFA license back.
Oh,
So
okay.
yes, yeah, that's a ruling. So I think somewhere around this year, so we will be all will have the FIFA license. That means, see, the problem now when you have a Malaysian license, it's difficult for us to go to other countries and deal. you know so when you have FIFA license, it's like you can go everywhere, but yes, you still need to work with the locals, the local agents. So this is what I've been told by FAM. So this is something. And then to my understanding, there's about around 18 registered agents in Malaysia. And of course you have the unregistered agents. Which is something that to me is like, it's more of educating them, to get them involved, because you can do things officially once you're registered. It's easier for you to operate. So I hope if they are watching this, just get yourself registered. For me, I'm okay. I mean, we have to look it in a different way, not penalizing. They have their own reasons for it, but again, this is a very professional industry. And in Malaysia is still at the young stage, if you ask me. We have
Okay.
not evolved compared to the like Japan, Korea, or of course Europe is a matured, South America and all that. The market is big. And then again, sorry, Avi, your question was okay. Then you have to set up a company. Then you register. Okay, an entity lah. It can be anything. It can be enterprise, Sendirian Berhad, or that. So and then they will issue a license. So that license you will take around. And of course, when we started off, okay, this is very important. First year, new agents, you have to pay about 10,600 ringgit. First year.
Okay, that's a
Local
lot.
lah. Local.
Ah,
Foreigner, they have to pay you times, it's like USD lah. It's like
mhm.
40 over thousand. Okay.
Wow.
First year. Subsequent year, we pay renewal is about 5,300. And we have to submit our report to FIFA twice a year. That means we have two windows, right? The activities lah, meaning that the transfers, the value, they want to know your earnings. So we submit via FAM lah. All those lah. So it's a serious thing also. It's not a playing thing. So I mean, to me it's simple. If you're clear in what you do, all that, I think it should be no problem lah. So do it. Okay. Next,
Amidst
Avi.
all that, how do you convince a player to be represented? Because we know some players are a bit hesitant to be represented and so on. But then, how do you convince a player to sign up with an agent to ensure that their future is secured? We need to say the contracts are handled
Okay.
well, easy to get clubs and so on.
Okay. My approach, normally I will observe the player first. See, I will observe, I will watch games, and I will also watch them in training, quietly, because I would like to know a bit of them, and then
What is
and to
his
see
talking?
the potential, and then of course, you see, the ethics of agents normally is you have to inform the coach or the management that you want to approach a player. That's the ethics, right? Okay. So I mean, if you come to the field, you want to talk to the player, you can't just simply go, you say, I'm
True.
coming. See, that's their territory during training. We have to respect,
Yes.
even game, So even I just sharing with you, until today, if ever I want to go for a football match, I will still inform and message the team officially.
Mhm.
I want to come. Can I come? Although sometimes they tell me, hey, you just come to the stadium, we'll let you in. For me, it's ethics.
It
You
is,
know,
yeah, you're right. Yes.
and furthermore, I was working with MFL before. So I don't want people to say, "Oh, this guy was working MFL. He, every time just come in like a big shot." No, because that was before. No, now it's a different, kind of work. So for me, I trust in that. We have to respect. You know. So normally they would tell me like, "Hey, you just come in lah." I say, "No, no, no. I will still write my name on the paper, at the registration guy, and then I'll come in." So something like that. And of course, back to Avi's question, it's not easy because to convince a player is like, of course, you look at the potential and you talk to them. This is your potential now. Based on this, probably you could go here and here. You know, of course, okay. Normally, let's say you take a player that plays in the small club, very good player, potential, possible could go to the bigger club, but of course, he needs to have more minutes. Normally, it's about minutes lah. Your value, it depends on your minutes. So of course, once they perform, and then it's easier. I said, look, you play well, possibility to get a club, bigger club, a good contract, those that. And then they also would like to know, what does agent do besides getting a contract.
Mhm.
So normally I also do pre and post career advisory. Because if you look now, the span of a career of footballer is not long.
It's not, you're right.
Yeah.
Right, it's not.
So you could earn, example lah, 10,000, 20,000 in your 20s. But you see, as you grow older, your income stream will go down
Yes.
unless you are a big star player. And of course, during your time, your obligation and your commitment is high. Could be you got married, you got children. The expenditure is increasing. So these are the things. In fact, earlier today I was with Safi and Shuko. We attended function and we spoke about this. And I think like two of them, they should go around and give talks to young players, pre and post plan. So they have plans. They have they venture into business and all this, because you need to sustain your financial. you
Mm.
know these are the things. And if you are lucky, you can play until 35, 36 lah. Some unlucky, they got injured, they play only until 30 or even below 30. They are forced to retire. And then of course, I think what uh, I always tell my young kids, especially, I always tell them, take courses, online courses, entrepreneurship courses, get to, and even to an extent, coaching batches, and some, yes, I think if you know this player for playing for Sarawak now, Raja Imran, at that young age now, he has taken back the, I think, D license or C license, because you see, by the time you retire, it's not far for you to go to B.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but again, of course, not everybody can be a coach. It's not easy. So it depends. So the thing, you see, I think the worrying part is when they reach in the 30s,
Mhm.
because that's where we're not sure where they could go after football. I think this is something, I think not only FM lah, the Ministry of Sports should look at it. Not only for football lah, all sports.
Right.
It's not. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. To my understanding, those who got pension, only those who won the Olympic medals. Am I right?
Yes, correct, correct. Only Olympians
Yeah.
they get pension.
Oh, no,
Yes.
yeah. Like SEA Games or Asian Game, Commonwealth
Yes,
Game,
yes,
you
correct.
don't can. And if you notice, we don't have a proper database on our ex players. What they do, where are they now? It's only that whenever they are in a bad shape, they come out in the news, all that, then people will give a one-off donation. See, that is only for short time period. So this is something that I mean, of course, you can't address everyone, but at
Right.
least if there's initiative for the post career thingy, so it will help. This is my personal opinion. I think we don't have a currently maybe some clubs do have the database, but as a whole, the bigger picture, there's no proper database of players who are retired, what they do, their well-being, are they not well, do they need assistance, and majority of them doesn't have insurance.
Oh.
Yeah. So in fact, I was with a player earlier today. He got injured, ACL injury.
Oh.
He was lucky he had his own medical card. He bought a good medical card that will cover all his procedure and the rehab. This is something I think we have spoken to, I think, FM, PFM, hoping that they will increase, because currently it's like a group insurance.
Okay.
So the value not so big, I think, but of course it's cost. We understand there's cost. Maybe what they can do, try to raise up. Alternatively, I'm been telling the players, you are young, buy a medical card. It's not expensive. Young age, 20 is about 100 plus or 200 ringgit. So at least something will help you. So these are the things because you see a lot of if you notice a lot of injuries the past and then due to MCO, during they have a lot of breaks, a lot of pre-season. So a lot of players have these injuries here and there. So these are the things
Yeah. I think we're going to go to our first fan question because
wow.
Yeah. Actually, we really have to thank Wan Muhammad sebab banyak soalan dia bagi. I think at least 4. His first question of many was, why do MSL teams not publicize the transfer fees like in the foreign leagues? And this is a question I had also, because of course, when you see Mbappe's rumors and all, you get like 200 million lah, this lah, that one, but you don't really see that in Malaysia. Why is that?
Okay. How do I answer? Okay, I'll give you the general. See, what happens currently in our league, team will do the budgeting for the season, right? The entire season. Okay, they register 30 players for the first team. Of course, don't forget they have the official coaches also in the payroll. So normally it's about 45 lah. My experience, why I say 45? Because why we do the Malaysia Cup medal is 45 final. So we know 45 people maybe, I could be wrong, okay? Because maybe they have the other admin staff. So they forecast that means the A players, B players, C players, the salary scale. All right. So normally they sign free agents. Okay. And players who have contracts, they try to take on loan. There are clubs who pay some fees, small fee for loans that I know, I've experienced. Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, to my knowledge, GDT did pay some transfer fees for certain players. But of course, yes, it's not disclosed, what do you call it, in public, the actual amount, and of course, it's up to clubs, and that's why when I said we haven't come to a level whereby transfer is so interesting. In Europe, it's like people will know, if you see, right, Mbappe, he got a very signing fee, I think if I'm not mistaken, about 100 million, right?
Yeah, and they're giving him directorship of the club, according to some people.
Yeah. So these are excitement that fans wants to see, But of course, they have the avenue to offer all this. They have the substantial things to cover all the cost. But because you see, in our league, not many teams will buy over and declare. But I'm sure they declare to MFL or FM.
Right.
Because it's a transfer, right? There's transaction, all that. And then, of course, you pay, someone will receive what? It goes in from company to company, right? FC is a damn hard now, So, so it's just that they don't disclose to the public, But what was normally what in the industry they'll say, the remaining salary of the player. That means if they earn about 10,000 per month, this fella have another year of contract. It's about 120,000, and then maybe to his status, that means he played for national team. Maybe they add another 30-40,000, something like that. That was the calculation that was done before. Something like that lah. That I was heard. Okay, it's a good question. I mean, for me, of course, we love to see all these things, to get the league exciting. Fans will be buzzing, hey, this transfer, and then suddenly, because it happens in Europe, you see, like, okay, the deal has done. I mean, they have agreed, but suddenly along the way, one team call the player, oh, sorry, I've got a better offer, I'll make a U-turn. So it happens a lot, right? Here, but not in Malaysia at the moment.
Happens a lot to my team, lah. Yeah. To Man United, it happens a lot, lah.
Sorry, I didn't. Man United play in the which league, huh?
Ay. Alamak.
Lagi ya. Santai lagi.
Scottish Premier League.
We deserve that. Okay.
Scottish Premier League.
Oh, you were Azhar, no, Faidauz.
Yeah? No, we just missed out on Conference League. Tolong sikit. Please lah. Conference League though.
How many years you've been missing lah? See, example. It can happen to a big club. See, like Man United, all right? Yeah. For a number of years, they have not been performing. Imagine a big club, So it can happen to small clubs also, like clubs in Malaysia, So it's all about structure, all that, And I think after Ferguson era, you can see the downtrend, So that's it lah. But of course, I hope they recover lah. Coming seasons, we miss them in the competitive level.
Avi, you take the next question. I have to recover.
Okay, boss, just want to ask you this question. I mean, you have dealt with lots of transfers. Which is the most challenging one? The one that you feel was a real challenge to complete?
Okay. It's not a big transfer, but if you know this player, Zarel Azri from Selangor.
Yes.
Okay. He was in Selangor in 2020, right? And then he was released. Then he played for Sarawak last year in the Premier League, and he did very well, And then and of course the coaches wants him back, and then of course there's some debatable in the what do you call it, exco or all that, So it's normal, and I think that was. I think I went to FS more than 7-8 times lah, debating, talking to get the deal done, and it was very last minute, when I had this one last call with Dr. Johan. It's like, I said, not take it or leave it lah. I said, just decide lah, because player is like having anxiety, is Selangor going to sign me? The coach wants me, something like that, and of course, at that time he had offers from Negri, Penang, Malacca, and of course preference is Selangor, and we even, just to share, we even sat down with Michael and Carsten already, about the tactics, about his role this season, and of course again, it's a collective decision actually, so if you ask me lah, my experience, that was the one day is like collapsing, another day is like promising, and it was hard for me. Yeah, it was hard for me to explain to the player, at that time, it was a challenge, and luckily lah, I mean, like Malaysia, if your rezeki is there lah, this is my experience for, I mean, the past 5 years, the one of the toughest deals that I've gone through, Others, they do have the challenges, but not much as this lah. So it was an experience. It was an experience, and we've learned a lot. And then the key thing is, until you sign on dotted line is confirmed lah. Before that, nothing is confirmed. So things can change. Yeah, it happens. I've players who last minute pull out also of signing also. That I have to answer to the club. On a signing day, the player didn't turn up. So I got the backlash from the officials, the management. So part and parcel of being an agent. You have to this and because to me, end of the day, it's the player's choice. Until they sign, then it's valid. So that's my experience. Because you see, just to share, because for me, is I look things differently. Because you see, 5 years is not considered senior yet, because you see like senior agents like FND Jagan, Syed, and then you have Joe, Estrada, and you see, I learned from them too, in a way, some things, So of course, the way we operate differently, which I respect that. For me, it's like we can't question people how they operate. It's just that we have this common thing where we do talk. I do believe in that. You can be a competitor, but you also can be a friends. Yeah. You see, you have to be in healthy environment. We have to make the thing exciting. So these are the things lah. So to answer Avi, Zarir Azri's deal was the toughest for me lah. And also another deal, toughest deal if it's a last minute deal, last day of the window. To get things done, documents, and then because they have to upload the documents to the system. If you fail to download on time, so it becomes invalid, even though contract signed. So that one's so tough lah, boss. last day transfer kan. So something like that lah.
Okay, another question, another challenge lah. We have known over the years that some clubs have deferred their salaries, the payments and everything lah. So as an agent, I'm sure players would come to you saying that, look, I've not gotten my salaries. Can you help me out? How do you deal with that situation? And it is a frequent thing in Malaysian football. Is it at a point you realize, like, why am I doing this? It's annoying me all the time. That kind of thing.
Okay, it's a taboo question, actually, this one. So yes, we experience this every season. Okay, of course, there are few clubs that are prompt pay masters. There are clubs who have issues here and there, and yes, for players, they do come to us first because we represent them. I relate back to when I said earlier, it's better to be a registered agent because you can write officially to clubs. And then, if the players want to proceed, of course, they also can go to PFAM if they would like to report. So these are the avenues. And then, my take now, when all my players, I tell them, you have to save money. Because, let's say, okay, we analyze all teams, right? Like myself, I analyze all teams. I will see also how's the payment structure to players. If they are good paymaster, I'll tell my players, okay, you still need to have saving in any case. You see backup, all right? So if a team that has problems, they do pay maybe, but they have 1 month, 2 months, So I said you need to have backup savings, especially to those who are married. You have children, and then you have to service your loans, all that. Singles still okay, they can survive. Not to say they don't suffer, they do, but having a family, imagine you need to put food on the table. I always tell my this is what I learned from my parents, anything, so you still need to put food on the table for your family, and then to those who are married, all that, I'll tell them, try to save, because you see, majority of players, they depends on the monthly salary. Not many have savings, so it means that if the gaji sangkut, there goes, see, it will lead to a lot of things. You may have family problems, and then you'll be stressed because the banks will chase you, for monthly payment, all these, so this also indirectly will affect their performance on the field and training, so these are the things, and then to answer Avi's question, what happened in Malaysia, there are a few teams they really plan, only a few, a handful. There are teams that they do plan on the budget. Okay, example, 10 million. Okay, our budget, we plan to have 10 million for next season. It's only a forecast, So during the season, maybe they only got 7 million only. But they have signed players contract worth of 10 million. So that's where one of the issues. And then also the disbursement from sponsors. I experienced this when I was MFL. Okay, we have different sponsors, TM at that time, Air Asia, all these. So some will disburse early of season in the contract. Some will disburse mid-season. So it depends. So they have to really manage the financial properly. And you see, nowadays our season, like last year, and I believe this year will end the season in November too. In month of November, all right.
I believe so
So
too.
see,
Yes, November.
so once the season ends in November, of course, some teams they do plan early. The players, the budget. You see, you want good players, you need to spend. You have no choice. But some are getting more, are getting less. So teams, they should look into financial properly, how much they can earn. In order to keep. See, another thing is, it's not only salary, you have to budget for the EPF, all that,
Yes.
Not only gaji, it's like EPF, so all these, so these are the things, and it's an issue also. There are some teams who are not up to date with the EPF and also income tax, which is something that I tell the player to regularly check. Example like EPF. See, like if a team doesn't pay the EPF, you will lose your interest. EPF pays interest, right, every year, 3, 4%, 5%. So it's still money, So these are the things you have to take into account. And when it comes to tax, it's like, we fall to the player. If ever the player intend to travel or plays for national team, they will be stopped by the immigration. So they, of course, maybe they give a leniency because representing the country, you pay a certain amount first, but when you come back, you still have to face it. So these are the things. I hope slowly that teams will look into this, and I mean, because we are coming from FA, now it's privatized. So it's like a company. So I think teams are taking initiative. I'm not saying they are not. But it has to be more on the urgent side, because especially like tax, they will chase the players directly. So it's under the player, kan. And then, like, when it comes to budgeting, I said they should also incorporate the EPF, the employer's part also in the season budget. All these things. And also, maybe to answer your earlier question on the transfer fee, maybe they have extra money, they should plan maybe like 500,000 buffer.
Right.
We could buy a player early window or mid window, kan. You never know. Okay, if they can lah, buffer, so will be interesting. They mean they have money to buy out the contract or what, something lah. Yeah, if they can do that lah, that's why I say I think we have to make the league interesting. the transfers, all that. You see, these are the things that excite the fans. Not
Exactly.
only on the field, what the transfers, the thing, the saga, the excitement, all this, So this is what I felt. This what's been seen in Europe, all those. I mean, I hope, I believe we will be there one day. So I hope I'm still around as an agent at that time to witness all this.
Okay, maybe you want to ask some questions from the fans because I saw lots of questions, really, really good ones.
Okay.
I'll tell you honestly, the behind the scenes thing. Normally, we have a rapid fire section where we talk to you a bit more about your football fandom, lah. There are so
Okay.
many questions from the fans. We are not going to be able to get to that. That's how famous you are, lah. Okay.
Hey, don't
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I'm just going to put up one here again from one Muhammad, right? So he's asking whether there's any discussion of increasing the number of teams in the Super League. This goes back to what you're saying, like making the league more interesting.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that you're hearing?
This one Muhammad is in the FA. His question all very direct.
Yeah.
No,
we have you on the show next.
Okay. Actually, of course, we are not involved directly, but based on our conversation with teams and people who are involved, there were discussion of increasing the league to 16 and 18 teams per season. Okay. And I do agree with that because, you see, our players now, they don't have enough matches actually compared to other leagues. Per season, generally it's about 20 over matches, roughly, they play. But there are players who play 30 matches, 30 over matches. Yeah? So it's not enough for a player, But again, one of our issue is we don't have many qualified stadiums to host the matches. You have to follow the standards, especially like floodlights. You need to comply with the lux, I think 1,002, 1,005, and it's cost. And problem is teams don't, except for Johor, others, I think they don't own the stadium, whereby you have to go through the government, apply, and what do you call it? Wait for the funds. It will take time, all this, So I believe that's an issue. Because, and you see, like, example, in KL, the stadium is being shared by many teams. KL, MSN, PDRM, if I'm not mistaken. So 3 teams, like UITM also has been used by a few teams. Yes, UITM Stadium, In fact, MBPJ Stadium, PJ City and Selangor. So it's shared lah, So I hope, I mean, it's not easy to achieve getting all the stadium up to the mark, example like, okay lah, since you're from Perak kan, Perak have the Manjung Stadium also, good stadium. Yeah, it's good stadium, they can do, even like Selangor also, they have the Selayang Stadium, In fact, they also have the UM Stadium, UM, because it was used for AFC before, under 16.
Yes. That stadium is also good.
Yeah, it does comply with
That stadium
AFC.
is also good.
So, but it's just that to get the stadium up to the mark, and of course, it involves a lot of funds to do all this, to maintain, So these are I think the challenge for the teams and the organizers lah, to get stadiums, to be, stadiums the qualified to host the official matches.
Okay. I'm going to kind
Okay,
of
next question.
sorry, yeah, okay. I'm going to kind of gabong this question with someone from the fans lah, okay? Yeah, so let me see which one was it. Right. So again, it's one Muhammad asking, how do teams find players, right? Is it by looking through YouTube? But also there's a follow-up here because we wanted to know, like, how does social media play a role? Nowadays, it's so different from those days. Where players kind of have to market themselves. They have LinkedIn profiles, they have Insta and all this kind of thing. So does social media now play a big part?
Okay, they do play, but not that big. See, we do that, we monitor that. see, by then we get to know the players. How are they with the social media, their postings, all that, and even some players, I told them, once a while we can go out in the night and have fun, but don't do Insta story 1 a.m., 2 a.m. during the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It will reflect. It's like, because of that, people think, oh, this guy likes to go. And imagine if they have a match 2 days time. People say, oh, this guy, because he went out that night, he didn't sleep early, so it has affected his performance, all that. And then back to the question of Wan Muhammad, how do teams find players? Okay. Normally is from the coach's preference. Okay. That means, of course, each coach will have the formation, the playing style. So these players must be able to adapt to the playing style and formation. Okay. Example, like now the transfer window, all right, is just open few days back. Okay. But the work has been done like 2 months back. So they know which area they need to improve. So they will speak to agents or players directly on the potential to get them on board. They have identified the players, but there's some instance that they also take our recommendation. You see, like players, maybe unknown players, but they are good. Just to share. Okay, I just want to sidetrack a bit. Actually, one of the player that I'm representing is Safwan Mazlan. He's in Uzbek now, playing for under 22. All right. So he played for MSN last year. He did well, but he was overlooked earlier for the under 19, under 23. Then I had some conversation with Coach Ming and Coach Brad. Why not take a look at this boy? So then, well, of course, luckily he performed. He was up to the mark. Now I'm happy for him. I hope he can sustain and maintain and improve further. He's a player to watch. Safwan Mazlan. It's a versatile player. He's a player to watch.
And I mean, you mentioned the fact that now he's playing his trade abroad, right? At least for the under 22s, right?
But no. Actually, he's playing for the national. National under 22 in Uzbekistan.
Yes. So he's currently abroad, kan. So that leads on to another question. Actually, there's two questions here, One is from Afdal. Okay, first of all, are there a lot of players that have an agent, and is there any effort to try and send players abroad? Now that also corresponds to another question from Lutfi this time.
This fella is an agent. Lutfi is an agent.
Yes, he mentioned. There is another comment in the YouTube where he asked to kasih hentam unregistered agents, bro. So he's an agent. But his question is, Malaysians won't be considered as foreign players in the J League. So why aren't we sending our boys abroad? So there's a common theme here, we are obviously not sending our boys abroad that much. So what do you think about that?
Okay, it's not about sending our boys abroad. Okay, majority have not reached the level yet.
Right.
To be able to play abroad, you can attend trials. But that doesn't guarantee, and of course, you see, they do send scouts to Malaysia at times to take a look. It's just that perhaps our boys are not up to the level. Some potential, you see, dealing is potential is like, what do you call it? It's not something guaranteed. There's a potential, but of course it needs to develop further. But of course there are players, like if you ask me now, point blank, I think like Arif Aiman can go far.
Oh yes.
Yes. He has the attribute. He has a strong mentality. To play in the big stage. To be calm. I hope he can sustain, and I'm sure he can go further. That's an example. But not many players have attributes like him. You know, there's a lot of players do contact me and ask me, hey, can I go abroad and play? You know, I said it's not easy because of course you have to attend trials. You know, and furthermore, see, some of the boys they're not even playing here. They're only a squad member. So it's like no video footage. You know, back to the question of Wan Muhammad earlier. Yes, video plays a factor, and we are fortunate now. Even our Premier League also have live telecast. You know, not only Super. And then why? Because like myself, we use a tool. It's called Instead. Instead, we have videos of players. You know, so we take the footage and we send to the teams. You know, or coach to look at firsthand. You know, so actually videos actually will eliminate about 60-70%. There's still risk, right? You still need to look at the player, but videos, yes, to answer Wan Muhammad, the video is very, very important. So our local boys, not many of them have videos. You know, they have to play. Videos have to be good. You know, we have to send the videos for assessment by the coaches or clubs. You know, so I mean, it's not easy. Of course, if you see there's a trend of our boys going abroad to attend academies.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
in Europe or that. You know, but most of them is just like attending. You know, they could not go further because the level is very high. You know, it's not, it is survival. Just to share, I have an experience in 2018. I brought a Malaysian player to this club in Italy called Venezia.
Yes, yes, yes.
They played in Serie A this year. You know, when I was there, I was there about 10 days. I get to watch the under 19. The boy was in under 19, you know. It was only about four to five Italians only. The rest all from all over the world. Imagine under 19. It's like our Belia team, you know.
Oh,
Yeah. And all the players already have agents. They are represented, you know. So it's like, and the level is different. It's all about survival. It's not easy, you know. So for me, maybe potentially this is what, based on my thoughts and experience, the boys could look at Asian first, ASEAN, then only go to Asia. Don't go to Europe directly. It's different. See, in Europe, 17, 18, you go to the first team. The market is that. You know, they will sell you. Our 17, 18 is still playing in the president and all that, kan? Not belum sampai that level, you know. So we're a bit behind. But from my observation, currently, our boys like 16 years old, they can still compete with the Asia level. After that, you know, it could be the lack of competitive matches, and also it's all about intensity. The type of matches you play, intensity, it will increase. You know, so these are the things lah. You know, that I think that we can further. If you look at Vietnam, how come suddenly they are good? You know, we used to trash them those days. You know,
yes.
they can play attacking football now. Of course, it took a while. It's a project lah. You know, so they have to do it. You know? So I believe that Malaysia can be in that stage lah. You know, but it's hard work lah. Everyone has to play the role. You know, and then you see a lot of talented players, potential. We always hear this, right? Potential, talented. But in my space of working, being a scout and agent, what is lacking is mentoring. Mentoring, supporting, you know, because you see, a coach will have about 30 players in the squad. He won't be able to tell each and everyone, how can you improve?
Yes.
He might have few favorite players lah that he will tell, hey, you have to, you know, look at this area, improve on this, you know. But there are players that, you know, were not told what to do, They just say, oh, you're not up to the mark. See, okay, just to share. See, young players normally, you see, they could be good at 15, 16. Okay. But suddenly when they reach 17, 18, they are like stagnant. Those who were during the 15, 16 were not good, suddenly they were good. See, everyone picks differently. So you must have someone to monitor, guide. That's the thing now. I think it's not easy, but in my work space, I tried, but it's not easy. I managed to do with few boys, but it's not easy because you have to spend time with the boys, observe them, be buddy, and also age factor. Some of the boys half of my age, yeah, it's not easy to keep up at times, So these are the challenges, and then so a lot more. I mean, how I wish, if you ask me now, a lot of mentoring to help the players, the potential players,
So we also have a question from an international viewer of ours from Japan. He's been here since the first show, but he asked very interesting questions. So he says there is an assumption that our players don't want to venture into overseas leagues because they are relatively paid way higher than other leagues in the region. So he's asking, what do you think about this assumption?
Okay. Very tough question to answer. I have to be very general. I do agree. Some of our young players are overpaid. Okay, they are overpaid. I do agree. Some, yes, they deserve. Some are overpaid because, you see, when you go to a different league, you can't expect to have the same salary. It's what you are getting in Malaysia. And imagine you go to Japan. Okay, the guest is from Japan, right?
Yeah.
If you go to J3 lah, don't talk about J2 J3, I think you could earn maybe 4,000-5,000 Malaysian, maybe. So see, it's not about money, it's all about lifestyle change. Maybe you play abroad, maybe you still think that, oh, I still need a car, like I have in Malaysia. I need to have this luxury. Cannot. You won't have that. I tell you from my experience when I was in Italy. Okay, this boy, when we were there, he was actually offered by the club. The club wanted to sign him, but due to our national ranking, they can't sign directly. Right? So what happened? They said one of the alternative is, at that time the club was in Serie B, before they went to Serie A this year. So they said one alternative is to play in Serie C or Serie D for one season. Because see, these clubs, they have small clubs where they have shares, like a feeder club lah.
Affiliates, is
so it? Yeah, but you see, when you play in Serie C, Serie D, your salary is about 2,000 euro. You have to pay rental, you have to pay a lot of things. So how much do you have balance? So it's a different lifestyle. So not many people will go there. I think it's mindset, and then I have this thinking that maybe we should educate players from young of all this, what to expect in their career. If you plan to play abroad, I think we should go. Even myself, so I've started to work with some academies, to expose what it's all about, playing career, what is there to expect, if you intend to go abroad to play, what to see. And then see, I tell you honestly, most of our boys will look for nasi when they're abroad. Rice and teh tarik. You cannot get this, brother. No, it's our culture. It's our culture.
Yes.
So even myself, when I was in Italy in 10 days, I look for rice also end of the day. Where to get the Arab, nasi Arab, Pakistani or what, You cannot be eating the pasta, all this, So, but again, if you intend to stay there and have a career there, you need to adopt to all this, and also weather. Players are not used to cold weather. It's not easy. Weather, culture. So I mean, I hope these things can be instilled to the younger players early. What to expect. So then at least they have knowledge. I'm not saying that will help them 100%. At least they will know what to expect, what to come if this thing arises, how to manage it. These are the things lah. So
final fan question before I pass this back to Avi. It's a very direct question lah. Muhammad Hakim, any northern team rumors? I don't know whether you can answer this. We're getting straight to the point. Ada tak?
Rumors northern team ni banyak. You want what? Perak, Penang, Kedah. What rumors you want? Changes of players?
That's what you meant lah. Perak, Penang, Kedah, semua, whatever that you want. You know, you bagi je lah.
Rumors. Rumors. If I answer, that means I'm also creating rumors.
Oh, you're confirming.
You're confirming.
But just to share, in general, to my knowledge, in the second window, there are activities lah, like teams in Penang, a lot of activities. Penang, Pahang, Terengganu, of course Perak, that they will register the players, hoping that I think if I'm not mistaken, they have paid the locals. It's now only to clear the foreign players. Once they clear the foreign players part, then I think FIFA will lift the ban. I think they will do it. So these are active. Even Negeri Sembilan also quite active.
Okay.
Avi say okay. Later he will message me. Hey brother, what is the Negeri Sembilan?
Stay tuned to his Twitter.
I know him. I know his body language. Bro, can share some story. So this
I'm doing my job, boss.
We agents also talk to other agents. These are the teams that we see a lot of activities lah. Okay, I can't mention players or what, because you see, it's not confirmed by the club. I have no right to mention the names lah. But what we understand, the activities are from this team, especially it's normal if the team is at bottom. Definitely they want to improve the ranking, the standings, so understandable lah. They will be very active in the market to get players, so this one thing I'm not sure, but what I heard, there's another transfer ban to a team.
Oh no. Okay.
So I hope that they are able to lift the transfer ban lah. I don't want to mention name lah. Okay. Recently they got the transfer ban recently.
I will leak the information.
You heard it here first.
Later Avi will message me lah.
No, that one also I heard actually. I know the team, but I'm not going to mention the show yet until it is officially confirmed. I heard about it.
But for me, of course, we have always think positive. We hope that they will settle the thing, so they will be able to change players or sign new players. So if not, it will be frustrating for the coach lah. Because they have to deliver results lah. Okay lah. So to answer that siapa ni, Muhammad Hakim, rumors, I'm sorry, I cannot tell any rumors, but there are activities lah from the teams lah, understandable lah, so but of course they will announce the players that they have signed soon lah. Okay.
So Avi froze for a while. Are you back, bro?
No, I'm here. I'm back. Okay, the last question lah.
Don't message me,
Okay. I mean, last question, as an agent, what would be the best advice you would give to budding footballers who want to, apply their trade professionally, whether in Malaysia or overseas or something? What advice? In a short manner, lah, what advice you would give to say that, look, this is what you're supposed to do if you want to become a pro footballer?
Hmm. See, I think that's what I said. Importantly, we need to guide these players from very young age what to expect. And then, like I said earlier, the lifespan of footballer is not long. So it will be in your 30s. If you're lucky, like Shuko, Adan, Indra, Safi, Amri Yaya, all that, then you're okay. But still, they also have reached. They have years to make up, to plan what to do next. So it's a career that could span from 5 to 10 years. And it's something that they will have to also prepare something else after football also. Not to say while playing, actually start to think what they like to do, being an entrepreneur or what, because I've seen a lot of players lah, in their 30s, they went through hardship because of, they didn't get good contracts, declining, the responsibility are higher than before, and another thing I would like to advise, do buy medical card, all young players, very
Actually, all
important.
young people.
All young
All
people,
young
actually.
people, because you don't know when injury will happen. Because you see, the thing is, when we talk facilities, there's only 2-3 teams that have. Of course, the best is JDT, right? And I believe next is Selangor, and then maybe Terengganu also. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, But the rest, of course, they are trying their best, but it's not there yet. But again, players still have to train. You have no choice. You cannot say, "Oh, I don't want to train on this field, lah, coach." Padang teruk, uneven, so you don't know injury when happen. And then another thing is players recovery, very important. You can train hard, but your recovery, you have to this is another thing that I think players need guidance, not only guidance to play, guidance how you recover, take care of because it's your body. I think you will notice that some players, they are fit, but certain matches you see that they are stagnant, they can't play well. It's because they have reached the threshold, you know. But they're still pushing, but cannot. Something is wrong, all that. So, but as you see nowadays, I think more and more teams are wearing the GPS, the device, to track the, what do you call it, the heart rate and everything, the threshold. But comes to that also, I hope in future that teams can educate players also how to read the data, because the data is all about you. Of course the analyst will know lah, this report, blah blah blah, but you as a player is about yourself. You should know your condition. You should know, read data means as layman lah, okay, in let's say out of the 5 days training, actually in your third day you've reached your peak already. So they analyze back, okay, what type of training was done, how was the recovery before, were they traveling before, all this. You see, sometimes also due to our schedule very tight, so players don't have adequate rest, and some, you see, some teams, of course, due to financial, they travel by bus after the match. They travel by bus, go back, and some thought there was recovery. No, in the bus it's not recovery, because you are sitting down, the bus moving, so the movement to your muscle, and then you come back. And some teams, when they reach early in the morning, in the evening they have training, recovery training, So these are the things. I mean, I don't blame the teams because sometimes the schedule, So that's why the what do you call it, recovery part, the physios or that will have to look at this lah. And then of course to have the recovery facility, and it's not cheap actually to have these facilities for a team. And actually, I don't blame the team. It is not cheap, to have the pool, And you see now the boys, they go on the ice bath again.
Yeah.
They use the big tong sampah. They go in there. Yeah. This I'm telling you, this is a fact. And then they buy the baby pool, right? The baby pool, right? I mean, that's what they can afford lah at the moment. Can buy the baby pool, and then 4 or 5 fellas can go in one time. So just these are the things like recovery is very important. I think in sports, not only you train, recovery. If you don't have proper recovery, that means you will not get the best effect of the training, what we have done, and because you need to translate that on the pitch during the match. It could be due to recovery at times. So these are the things lah. So I hope eventually. Of course, it involves money. Teams can have this avenue to further enhance the facilities, all that lah. It will be good for the boys lah.
Okay, cool.
When we first got news that you would be coming on, right? I had this instinct. I was like, this is going to be a really fantastic show because we've never gone into some of the things that you've talked about. I really resonate so much with the stuff you're talking about, educating, mentoring. It's because then you help long term. So I really thank you so much for joining us. I feel we can do another show with you easily, and we'll have another deluge of questions coming in.
My pleasure. No, but I'm sure because I think there's a lot more to share.
Right.
And then it's a good thing also. See, once the fans understand in a way what's been done behind the scenes, so they will appreciate more.
Right.
And also they can ask the teams the correct questions.
Yes.
I don't blame the fans. So sometimes because they're not sure how it's been done, the deal, how it's been approached. Just to share, if you have time,
Yeah, go
so
ahead.
normally in the player's contract, let's say 1 year, all right. So when they reach the last 6 months, so if I'm as an agent of the player, I can start to go around with other teams to talk officially.
It's called bossman, right? It's called the bossman role, right?
Yes. So I'm allowed as an agent. Player cannot. The agent, the agent who represents the player can go and speak to other potential teams, or sometimes some teams may have contacted me. We have an interest on this player, so I say, okay, we wait for June, then we casually discuss. Okay, so but another thing, very good. This one, our culture here, we are not used to pre-contract yet compared to Europe. But right, in Europe, the last 6 months they can sign pre-contract with the new team. It's not. I believe in Malaysia we have not done that. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I know some agents are watching the show. So, But see, that's why I said this will be interesting. We have this element so that the fans will get excited.
Right.
Let's say this player have signed. Next say, oh, he's joining to another club. Wow, so interesting lah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I sorry, go on.
No problem. No, you continue. I'm done already.
Yeah, I mean, because that's one of the reasons why we have this show is because we want to bring on game changers who are actually in the football process and all and connect them straight to the fans So as you said, now the fans can learn about it Once again, we really have to thank you so much. But It's already 10:15. I'm sure you have got your family to go to. So yeah, thank you so much
No
once
problem.
again. We hope to have you back soon. And to all our viewers, thank you so much for joining us today. We apologize for the 3 week break, but I think this is made up for it. The show is damn good today. So yeah, once again,
Thanks.
subscribe, everyone. Subscribe. Catch us up on social media. There'll be snippets of this show on YouTube as well and Twitter. So yeah, good night. Thanks a lot for joining us. Bye bye.
Thank you, Avi and Logan.
Thank
Hope
you.
Very
Man U
welcome.
and Arsenal. Hope Man U and Arsenal will do well next season.
Ya, sempat lagi, sempat lagi.
You sempat lagi nak risau lah you.
Alright, good night,
Okay.
everyone. Good night.
Good night. Okay.